Imagine you're an expert, and you're at the absolute end of your rope. You've poured a lifetime of skill into one night's work, and you've come up with absolutely nothing. Then, a stranger gives you an order that defies all logic. So what do? We're about to explore the moment a simple fisherman faced that very choice. And let me tell you, his decision didn't just fill his nets, it echoed through history. You can just feel the exhaustion in these words, can't you? This is Simon, a seasoned fisherman speaking. He's just spent an entire night doing the one thing he knows best, and he has failed completely. This isn't just a bad day at the office. This is a gut-wrenching moment of total professional defeat. And right here, this is the central question we're digging into. Simon knows fish. He knows this lake like the back of his hand. So what on earth could possibly convince an expert like him to just abandon a lifetime of hard-won experience for a command that seems, well, completely illogical? Okay, so to really get the weight of Simon's decision, we first have to understand the world he was living in, because this wasn't just some casual fishing trip for him. This was his livelihood, and the stakes, they were incredibly high. You see, to feel the real pressure of this moment, you've got to understand that fishing in first century Galilee was not a peaceful job. It was a trap, a high-pressure trap. Under Roman rule, fishermen like Simon were just getting squeezed by licenses and tolls, constantly living right on the edge of crushing debt. So for him, an empty net wasn't just a bad night, it was a real step closer to ruin. So just picture the scene, right? The sun's coming up, the boats are beached, and Simon is just going through the motions, cleaning his nets. It's the final, thankless task after a totally demoralizing, profitless night. He's not looking for a teacher, he's not looking for a miracle. He's just a tired guy who wants to go home. And it's right here, at this absolute low point, that Jesus, a teacher who's been drawing these huge crowds, steps into Simon's boat. And after he's done speaking to the people, he makes a truly bizarre request. Now, here's a crucial detail. This request doesn't come from a total stranger, and that changes everything. Simon actually has a history with Jesus. He had personally seen Jesus heal his own mother-in-law. So while the command to go fishing again might seem absurd, it's coming from someone Simon already knows has, well, some kind of authority over the natural order of things. And here the conflict just becomes crystal clear. On one side, you have a lifetime of practical, hard-won knowledge. You fish at night, in the shallows, when the water's cool. Period. On the other side, you have this command from Jesus. Go out into the deep water in the middle of the day, when the sun is high and hot. To a professional fisherman, this isn't just illogical, it's insane. And this sets up the expert's ultimate dilemma. Simon is now staring down an impossible choice. Does he trust his own proven, time-tested knowledge? Or does he trust this teacher, who he's just beginning to believe in? This is it, the absolute heart of the dilemma. Does he trust the data he's personally collected over thousands of hours on this exact lake? Or does he trust the word of this man who just healed a member of his family? Seriously, what would you do in his place? And here it is, his incredible answer. You can almost hear the weariness and the doubt in that first part. Master, we worked all night for nothing. But then it's followed by this monumental leap of faith. But at your word, I will let down the nets. He chooses to obey, even though his own expert judgment is screaming at him that it's a complete waste of time. So what happens next? Well, the result of Simon's obedience is not just a successful catch. No, it's an event so overwhelming, so far beyond the realm of anything normal, that it actually becomes terrifying. This is the first sign that something truly supernatural is happening. The sheer volume of fish immediately starts to overwhelm their equipment. I mean, these nets were not designed for this kind of load. They are literally tearing apart under an impossible weight. And then it gets even more intense. Even after they call their partners for help, the catch is so massive it threatens to sink both boats. The very tools of their livelihood, their boats, are on the verge of being destroyed by this unbelievable abundance. This doesn't feel like a blessing anymore. It feels like a crisis. And their reaction really tells you everything you need to know. They weren't celebrating. They were astonished, a word that's just packed with shock and awe, and yeah, a little bit of fear. They suddenly realized this wasn't about fish. They were in the presence of a power that could bend the laws of nature, And that realization was flat out terrifying. The catch itself is stunning, right? But what happens next is somehow even more so. Simon's reaction to this incredible success is, well, it's completely unexpected. And it reveals this profound internal transformation. Instead of counting his money, what does Simon do? He falls to his knees. This miraculous display of power doesn't make him feel powerful at all. It makes him feel profoundly unworthy. In the face of something so divine, so holy, his first instinct is to see his own brokenness. And Jesus responds not by leaving, but by giving Simon a whole new identity. He takes Simon's profession and just flips it into a metaphor for a higher purpose. The Greek word used here, zogron, it means to catch alive. So unlike the fish he used to catch for the market, he would now be catching people for a new kind of life. So here's the path, laid out so clearly. It starts with witnessing a power that's beyond all comprehension. That power doesn't lead to pride. It leads to a confession of your own inadequacy. And it's in that very moment of humility that a new mission is given. A mission so compelling that Simon literally abandons the greatest professional success of his entire life to follow it. And that leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Simon Peter left a fortune in fish sitting there on the beach because he had found something infinitely more valuable. And it forces us to ask ourselves, what encounter, what truth, what calling could be so profound that it would make you reevaluate everything and walk away from your own greatest catch?